This is the Group 1's group project. Our topic is cultural collision, Chinese students in American classes. We are going to discuss this topic in 3 different aspects. The comparison between Chinese students and Native American students. The comparison between Chinese teachers and American teachers. The differences between the atmosphere of American classes and that of Chinese classes. All of them include analysis, and we will give our suggestions after the analysis. For all these years, receiving education is important for the Asian American community, which is why so many Asian students come to America to get higher education, and Chinese students are a big part of them. However, although they may achieve high GPAs and graduate with honors eventually, the invisible inadaptation still exists. Now let's take a closer look at them. The first one is comparison, and I will analyze this from 2 different kinds of performance: the interior performance and the exterior performance. According to a research from a doctoral student at Teachers College, Columbia University, much of the rhetoric surrounding Chinese international students focuses myopically on challenges such as low critical thinking skills, poor classroom participation, or inadequate English proficiency, without adequately contextualizing the cultural reasons for those challenges and examining how schools respond to them and over time change their attitudes and behaviors. Maybe Tang's description cannot comprehensively overlap the Chinese students. We can ignore that these negative phenomena do exist, but Chinese students do have a strong logical thinking ability and imitation ability. Also, most of the students are very hardworking. Some effort that Chinese students are taking to overcome the inadaptation. The Pan found that students responded to these challenges through a combination of personal, social, institutional, and technological resources. They put in many additional hours of work, reading and rereading texts and making diagrams or outlines. They write down and memorize points they could say during the class if the opportunity arose. They observe and imitate their American peers when it comes to American participation. They rely on Chinese upperclassmen for advice on classes to take faculty's teaching styles. The user-writing center, that one-to-one communication, would help make up for the lack of participation in class. The regions that cause these maybe are different educational and cultural backgrounds. Chinese international students are educated in an environment that teacher is the authority, and there's only one answer for each question. Also, due to the inadequate English proficiency, some students may feel shy to join the classroom discussions and are afraid of making mistakes. So here we can say that because different educational backgrounds, Chinese students earn different abilities with Native American students, which causes the differences in the classes.
Mentioned to Chinese in American classes, there are many differences between Chinese and American teachers as well. In this section, I'm going to talk about the distinction of instructor immediacy and teacher's impression in students' mind in China and America, then analyze the reason of these differences. According to instructor immediacy in Chinese classroom by Scott A. Myers, immediacy is a method that instructors use to reduce physical and psychological distance between them and their students, and and he reports that Chinese instructors utilize less nonverbal immediacy than American instructors. They mainly use verbal ways such as praising students' schoolwork, asking feeling and suggestions about the classes. But in America, besides these immediacies, instructors call students' first name more often. In addition, they engage more nonverbal immediacy such as gestures, eye contact, and intentional movements. Furthermore, teachers are perceived as authority and role model in China. Students are quite submissive to their teachers. But on the contrary, in America, students share equality with their teachers. Teachers in America are like friends to students. Also, according to Classroom Life by Nathan, international students have a common impression that professors in American universities are more tolerant and friendly. They don't mind the interruption in class, but in China, you have to ask for permission to interrupt the teacher or to leave the classroom in the middle of the class. So why are teachers and teacher-student relationship so distinct between China and America? It heavily depends on cultural differences. According to Qin, United States culture is generalized as an individualistic and small power distance culture. Conversely, Chinese culture is characterized as a collectivistic and large power distance culture. Besides, from the point of regarding authority, as Scott stated that the Chinese are more submissive and more conforming to authority than members of other cultures. Contrarily, in America, people always hold their suspicions towards authority. Challenging authority is very common. Therefore, these distinctions might give us, Chinese students, a feeling that we are nearer to our teachers in America than in our own country.
Chinese students can find a lot of differences in the atmosphere of American classes. Here, the atmosphere that I'm talking about means the classroom environment. To be more specific, I'll mainly discuss about the roles that students and teachers act, the methods that teachers use. Firstly, the role. The role that students and teachers act in the class will determine the way that students treat teachers. In Chinese classes, because of Chinese traditional culture, teachers are often regarded as fathers or mothers, and this tradition makes teachers seem to be mighty and authoritative. Meanwhile, students are supposed to obey teachers' words and show respect. During the class, students just need to listen to the teachers carefully, take notes and keep quiet. If a student has a problem, he or she needs to hand up to get teacher's permission for asking. In American classes, teachers don't think they're the leading roles of the whole class. However, they define them as instructors, and students are main characters. In other words, student is the center of the class. Zhenyu, the teacher of Hunan University of Arts and Science, in his article, A Comparative Study of Classroom Culture Between Chinese and American Universities, says, teachers serve for consultation, assistance, inspiration, and stimulation, which maximize students' subjective initiative and make students actively involved in class. Secondly, the teaching method. In Chinese classes, lecturing method is widely used, and most common tools are Blackboard and PowerPoint. Teachers start from books and have specific learning goals for each part of the teaching materials, and students need to finish the trainings of before class preview, class notes, and after class exercise. Furthermore, teachers would analyze questions for students over and over again to ensure students pass of tests. Frankly, this is effective for students to gain solid basic knowledge. but this is also adverse for students to develop independent learning ability. In American classes, students will find many seminars. Besides using a lecturing method, teachers also make use of group work, book reports, social investigation, experiments, and so on. In class, teachers often just briefly introduce the main points and let students study and think independently, rather than offer massive, detailed interpretation of the books. During the class, if a student has a question, he or she can ask teacher for help at any moment, and at most of the time, teacher is willing to explain until the student understands. By discussing, teachers and students can solve various problems. However, sometimes rambling discussion might undermine the mastering and consolidation of the theory. Now the question is, why? Why are there so many differences? Personally speaking, I think there are two main points. The first one is culture and society. The Chinese culture, originated from Confucianism, sharpened by 5,000-year-old history, is very tenacious and inclusive, which makes most Chinese students to be conservative and restraining, and be used to accept knowledge and skills passively. But the American culture is much more open and free, and American college students are dare to question and good at independent thinking. And the second one is education evaluation standard and values. In China, from the primary school to college, in most times there's only one standard for assessment, the grade, while the American evaluation standard is much more diverse, which besides grade includes hobby, physical education, social responsibility, and etc. As for the values, Chinese education focuses on the study and the accumulation of knowledge, the respect of knowledge and authorities, and the build of knowledge structure. Comparing to Chinese education, American education pays more attention on the development of students' abilities of using knowledge and self-thought, and the broadening and creation of knowledge.
Now I'm going to talk about suggestions. By referring to related articles and combining group members' personal experiences, our group concludes 10 suggestions that might be helpful. 1. Don't be anonymous. 2. If you enjoy your course, let the professor know. 3. Broaden your horizons. Take a course outside of your program. 4. Take pride in your work and in yourself. Don't compromise your beliefs for anyone. 5. Choose your major carefully and make sure you are choosing it for you. You are the one who will work in the field connected to that major. 6. Be kind to everyone. Not much in this world matters more, and you never know what a difference your kindness might make. 7. Remember that education is the key that will open many doors for you. 8. If you can't find a part-time job that relates to your major, look for a warm body job which allows you to do homework while working. 9. If your school offers a position that helps with summer orientation for incoming students, apply for it. This kind of job will build your confidence and communication skills like no other. 10. Don't forget where you come from. Remember the people who helped you get to college in the first place. Call your parents. I hope our work will be helpful, and have fun in college. Thank you for watching.